Welcome back to the news at 10. Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, is an ancient city characterized by rocks of different shapes and sizes. Well, these stones serve not just as tourist attractions like the popular Olumo Rock, but as homes to many, a practice dating back to 1825. Our community report tonight looks at the way of life of a people living among the rocks.
The view of the ancient city of Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital in southwest Nigeria, is a sight to behold. It is made up of a cluster of rocks that gives the city its popularity, one of which is the Olumo Rock, arguably the state's most commercial tourist attraction. There are those who are lucky to wake up to the spectacle of nature mixed with people moving to attend to their businesses, only coming down to earth when the need arises. A way of life dating back to the 18th century, to this day, remains home for people who history regards as refugees among the rocks.
Before this time around, there is a village here now that people are living before. So some of them, they don't want to leave the area instead of them to leave the area because in the central level of Abeokuta, they try to let me build my family something.
That does not bother them as they feel comfortable with their structures.
Just buy a block and cement and use it to build a house. Immediately you start living in it. The rock is very standard. Not that if it don't rainfall or anything will happen, there's to be problem. We don't get any problem.
I can give you an example of this house. Now, these have stayed a number of years and it can't fall. You see some other houses like that, they can stay up to 100 years. You see them collapsing.
Residents here are self-sufficient, rearing livestock and poultry with all their grinding and laundry needs taken care of. And with natural springs running through the rocks, they do not have any problem of heat at night.
At night, you see it brings more fresh air into the house. Everyone will be kind of cold because of the rock. But when you go to outside there, there are houses that are built normally. When you get inside will be very hot, like heat. But the rock helps to bring more air into the room.
Despite the beauty of this topography, there is a fear of earthquake and tremors for those living here. But this geologist lays all fears to rest.
Over decades, we have not recorded any case of a tremor, earthquake around this part of the globe. So because we are not prone to such activities, so there is no tendency of they exercising any fear that there will be danger.
The residents who have been living among the rock for centuries only believe in one saying, and that is, there is no place like home.
For decades, beer has been perceived as a beverage containing empty calories with a lot of negative side effects. And today in Lagos, Nigerian Breweries PLC has said enough bad publicity with their first ever beer and health symposium organized to educate the public on the health benefits of beer when consumed in moderation. Our correspondent Mary Alale Yusuf reports.
Let's have it one more time for Mr. Vivaldi.
In this comfortable and cool atmosphere, doctors, nutrition experts, staff of the Nigerian Breweries PLC, road safety marshals and others are gathered to discuss the health benefits of beer in the first ever Nigerian Beer and Health Symposium.
Daily, we get confronted with the negative images of wrongful use of beer. The prevalence of these images and the subsequent discussions around them and the negative perception impact on beer have the capacity for serious impact on this beautiful product.
One after the other, speakers come out to extol the positive attributes of beer and to dispel myths and misconceptions about the brew, like the beer belly.
Beer does not contain fat. Beer has no cholesterol.
And the perception that drinking beer results in a beer belly is not scientifically supported. Antioxidants these are chemicals that can help you to prevent damage to cells.
Manufactured from 4 natural ingredients: water, which makes up more than 90% of the brew, barley for the starchy base, hops for flavor and preservation, and yeast for fermentation. Beer is touted as having a lot of health benefits if taken in moderation. And all here seem to be happy with the day's proceedings.
We can give as an industry a lot of information, but let's not forget moderate consumption is a personal choice and also a personal responsibility.
The beer moguls say to drink responsibly is to drink with proper consideration for health, limits set by society, and responsibility to family and friends. They encourage Nigerians to use these guidelines to get their bearing right. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
He's a distinguished academic and a guru.
First Bank.
Welcome down to Business News. I'm Loretta Chiogo. The unveiling of the specially designed commemorative 100 Naira banknote by the Central Bank of Nigeria has been postponed till further notice. The postponement is in the light of President Goodluck Jonathan's trip to Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, as part of a 3-man delegation of heads of state to mediate in the country's political crisis. The unveiling of the commemorative 100 Naira note is in commemoration of Nigeria's 100 years of existence. The female gender must continue to strive towards excellence in order to contribute meaningfully to the development of the country. Now, this is the view of the Chief Executive Officer of Standard Chartered Bank, Mrs. Bola Adebola. Mrs. Adebola, who was speaking at the just concluded WIMBIS conference, insists women should seek elective positions and be involved in policy decisions.
Women in society, I think the statistics in Nigeria indicate about a 50-50, distribution of women and men, and so we have just as vital a role to play in society and in nation building as men. Are we there yet? No, we're not. But it's a journey. It's a journey that starts with each individual identifying what their skills, what their strengths are, and knowing how they can play to those strengths. It's also important for women in institutions as well to contribute to the building of those institutions. And I think that overall it's also important for women to be involved in policy determination, to be influential, and to even seek elective office and also accept appointments, because you can't really be fully impactful in nation building if you're not sitting at that table.
Ocean-based mortgage bank Omoluabi Savings and Loans PLC has been listed in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The listing, which is also the first in the alternative securities market sector of the local bourse, aims to broaden the company's shareholders' base and address housing shortfall in the country. Temple Ashaju completes the story.
A typical listing ceremony on the floor of the exchange. 5 billion ordinary shares of Omoluabi Savings and Loans being officially listed at 55 kobo after a successful initial public offer. The facts behind the listing session with market operators, the exchange receives Omoluabi Savings and Loans, and the chairman, Wale Balonduro, explains the listing motivation.
Rather than the usual practice of government just injecting funds and closely controlling the company, we decided to go the route of initial public offering, and that involved issuance of the 3 billion ordinary shares of the company. The process sets the pace for the bank's transformation to a publicly quoted entity.
We celebrate many milestones with this listing, as Omoluabi Savings and Loans PLC becomes the first company to list on ASM after its official relaunch in 2013.
Following the listing, the management plans an expansion drive and targets the citizens of Osun.
Our license allows us to do multi-branches, so we are expanding and we'll be taking the benefit of the expansion.
Most of the people in Osun State, particularly the civil servants, are contributors to NHF. So people are prepared for our services, and coming to the listing now, it exposes the organization.
And for the exchange, the first listing in the Alternative Securities Market Board is a ray of hope.
What we're going to be seeing going forward is, number one, more companies coming to access this ASIN market. But like I've always said, the federal government and indeed everybody in Nigeria should persuade the government to ensure that tax incentives are given to companies that are listed on the ASIN board.
Omoluabi Savings and Loans PLC is an offshoot of the state of Osun. With a market capitalization of over 2 billion naira, the company is set to tap into Nigeria's mortgage opportunity. Temple Ashaju, Channels Television News.
The key index retained its downward swing during trading at the local bourse today. The whole share index shed 2.14% to close at 35,958.38 points. Here's BC Adebayo with the rest of the figures.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. Investors' appetite dampened further at the Nigeria equities market, resulting in a 2.14% drop in the benchmark index, the biggest decline recorded since the losing streak commenced. The all-share index ended midweek session below the 36,000 mark at 35,958.38, while market capitalization also dropped below 12 trillion naira. Market breadth was very weak as 50 laggards dwarfed 8 gainers. Food giant Nestle, 7-Up and Lafarge Robco were among the top laggards for this session. Diamond Bank topped the gainers table with an addition of 20 kobo. Sterling Bank and Mansard Insurance also had gains less than 1 naira each. Midweek top volume drivers include Guarantee Trust Bank, FBN Holdings and FCMB. Volume traded dropped to 400.22 million shares, valued at 4.01 billion naira, and exchanged in 4,374 deals. That's a wrap on the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
And that's it on business. Also, the news at 10 continues.
First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, home-based Super Eagles pairs intensified training at the Uyo Township Stadium for the friendly against Ghana. And that's on sports. Just stay with us.